Why do we keep having the same arguments again and again? You entered this marriage with the expectation of a lot of love and happiness, but the reality is something else. We as coaches, we believe that that reality which you had thought of can be manifested. Maybe it's already there. Maybe there is a lot of love and happiness already in the marriage, but sometimes the arguments also happen. Our endeavor is that how can we reduce the number of fights, the number of arguments, and how can we increase the level of happiness and love in the marriage?
So let's see how we can make this really happen for us. Let's begin.
From the outside, it might look like the problem is the behavior of my partner. If that behavior is changed, then my problem is solved.
But beneath the behavior, there are patterns. There are value systems which your brain is subconsciously guarding. And as soon as the brain starts to perceive a threat, because the basic job of your brain is to save you physically, not just physically, but in terms of your thinking, your values, what you believe is your identity, who you are, all that the brain is trying to protect. So, as soon as the brain perceives a threat to all that value system which you hold deep within you, it starts to react. And that is what we need to understand and address to solve for our recurring fights.
Couples that come to us usually say that they don't even want to communicate with their partners because every conversation ends up in an argument.
This is because when one person loses it because their value system has been triggered, they react, the other person will either fight back or go silent. If they fight back or go silent, irrespective, the first person again reacts. Why do you always withdraw? Why do you go silent? Why don't you talk about the problem? And this cycle just continues.
According to neuroscience, the brain is designed for survival.
And its core job, like we understood, is to survive your old patterns. Now, what are these patterns it is trying to survive? That we must understand. These patterns can be very core things like, am I feeling safe? Am I respected? And I have often seen people react whenever somebody raises their volume. They start to understand that I'm getting disrespected, and then they react back, and the negative cycle starts. Maybe it's the core being valued at all, having some importance at all or not. That feeling goes missing in a marriage. Or somebody feels I'm being too controlled. Have I been left alone? मैं वापस से अकेला तो नहीं रह गया? So all this the brain is perceiving all the time, and that is why it is reacting all the time.
Yeah, when the brain is designed for survival, they say that it's scanning for threats 3 times in a second. And when it's scanning for threats 3 times in a second, it will find it.
So when you look for red color around you, look around, try it. You will find red color. Just try, just see. You'll easily see red. So whatever you want to see, you shall see. And if you want to see what is wrong all the time, you will see what is wrong all the time, and you build a pattern for that.
When the brain scans for threats and it finds it, then there is a reaction of the person because of that perceived threat. And that reaction can be fight. When the reaction is the fight in the relationship, it looks like blaming the other person, criticizing the other person, proving to be right, proving the point, attacking the other person, sarcasm, repeating the same point again and again.
So, whenever you hear all this, whenever you hear sarcasm, complaining, blaming, you have to understand what is the core value that got threatened for your partner. Maybe the safety got threatened, maybe the security got threatened, maybe importance, maybe respect, and that is why you are seeing on the surface sarcasm or blaming.
If the brain is scanning for threats 3 times in a second, it will usually find it. If the brain is threatened, the outside behavior will look like fight, flight, or freeze.
And let's understand each one of them in detail.
Fight in a marriage looks like the outside behavior is often blaming, criticizing, proving, attacking, sarcasm, repeating the same point.
What we need to understand is that this person who seems to be blaming, criticizing, proving a point, being right all the time is feeling threatened. What is the threat? The threat might be to their safety, which their brain has perceived, or to their respect, or to their security, freedom, any of the value systems. And that is why they are behaving like this. So we need to go below their behavior.
People are different, their behaviors are different, their upbringing is different. So, if the brain is threatened, the outside behavior could be fight or could be flight, avoiding the whole argument. The flight the flight would look like avoiding, leaving the room, getting busy, workaholism, scrolling, sleeping, and I don't want to talk, just avoiding the whole thing.
So, if your partner is avoiding you, understand that they are feeling threatened. What are they feeling threatened about? Not you personally. Their brain is perceiving a threat to their whole value system, and the value system can be anything: security, safety, respect, freedom, autonomy, anything. So, to understand that, don't get triggered by the behavior. Understand what their brain has perceived as a threat for them, their value system.
The brain is scanning for threats. And when the brain is avoiding the arguments, it's living in the survival mode, in a threatened state for a long time, then the outside behavior is often a freeze response. Freeze in a marriage often looks like silence, blankness, numbness, emotional shutdown, not knowing what to say.
So, if one of your partners has completely gone into freeze state, understand that they've been experiencing emotional trauma maybe for a very long time, and they tried fighting and it didn't work, and they tried avoiding, which is flight, and it didn't work, and now it's gone into the freeze state, numb state. Nothing matters to them. And many couples, or at least one of the partners, is in this state when they come to us.
Arguments happen because one of the values is threatened. There are unmet needs. One value is very important for the person, and that value could be safety, security, connection, autonomy, respect, trust, freedom, or belonging.
Now, when we start to understand these values, we will understand also that why we feel so insecure or unsafe or lack of connection or there is lack of freedom or autonomy. मैं ये करना चाहता हूँ पर मैं ये कर ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ. Or a sense of belonging is missing, you're feeling alone all the time and you will go into fight, flight, or freeze state. So, when any one of this is violated, which may be very strong to you as a value system, your brain will perceive a threat and will react, and there begins the negative cycle.
One person might feel, I am not important. The other interprets it as, I am being controlled. The event is the same, but both are interpreting the whole event as a belief system, which is often a limiting belief system, and that is why marriage becomes a suffering.
So one small behavior, you did not call, why you didn't call, right? One thing triggers the whole negative cycle. Where is the negative cycle coming from? For person X, there is a different value being compromised. I am not important. Importance, that's the value system that their brain has perceived as a threat. And for the other, it is the need for connection, or maybe freedom, or maybe a very different priority in life. For the husband, it's the work that is so important that is playing on his mind. And they feel controlled, and that is where their threat happens, and both end up fighting.
Let's see this negative cycle. Your spouse says something, you give it a particular meaning. That meaning creates an emotion, and that emotion is not a very pleasant emotion. The emotion produces a reaction. The reaction triggers reaction in the other person, and their reaction confirms what you already believed.
So, to understand this negative cycle becomes very important. Why you want to break this negative cycle? Every person says I am right, and you both are right. That is what we need to really get here. That no one is wrong. Each one has their different value system which their brain is subconsciously protecting. And whenever their brain perceives the threat, they go into this negative cycle. So, to understand this negative cycle means the first step towards a healthy relationship.
Why the arguments are repeating is because energetically both the partners are in fear.
And when you do not understand the underlying pattern, the pattern by its very nature will repeat. So do not get stuck with the behavior. Try and go deeper and understand what is the value system for your partner as well as you, which keeps getting threatened. Is it your safety? Is it your security? Is it your sense of feeling important or different or being valued or being acknowledged and appreciated for all the work that you do, the value that you bring? All these are value systems which are very deep, and they've been sewn into our subconscious from the childhood.
The shift happens when you focus on yourself rather than your partner.
So you first ask yourself, what is your value that keeps getting threatened? And then maybe when you become very good at understanding yourself first, your value system, your triggers, your patterns, your emotions, then you may want to understand it for your partner also. And all this actually needs a lot of hand holding. For us, it did. And that's how we've become very good now at understanding each other in terms of our threats, triggers, value systems, what is being compromised. And that understanding is the biggest key to solving for the relationship issues and creating a deep bond.
The breakthrough happens when you expand your awareness and see the communication cycle rather than the behavior of the other person. Often partners feel that my partner, my spouse is the enemy. The spouse is not the enemy. The communication pattern, the negative cycle of communication is the real enemy.
So, to understand the pattern, to understand the negative cycle, to understand the value system, and to work on all these for yourself as well as your partner. That is the real approach to solving for the relationship. In case this resonates with you, please like this, please share this with somebody who may be really struggling with their personal relationship, and also subscribes to our channel for more such videos. See you around.
Thank you.